listen, I totally understand there's a lot of costs that go into whether you're selling a home or whether you're buying a home. And a lot of times, if you're not exactly sure what some of those costs are, that makes you kind of anxious or reluctant to really kind of step forward. And you're a little reluctant to maybe reach out to an agent or maybe reach out to a lender to kind of understand what that would be. So you just kind of sit and you watch opportunities go by. If you're looking to buy a home, or maybe if you're trying to sell your home, you see a neighbor whose home sold, you're like, wow, I could maybe use that kind of money, but you're not sure how to go about that process and how to really reverse engineer back down to understand what some of your costs would be. So what I'm going to try to do with this video is just kind of break down what some of those costs are on the buy side and what those are on the sell side. So you can kind of get a clearer understanding of what you would be looking at if you were looking to either buy a home or sell a home or both. So what I'm going to do first is talk about the buy side. So, you're going to have your down payment, and your down payment can be anywhere from zero down in some instances if it's a VA loan or a USDA loan, or maybe there's some physicians loans as well too. But it could also be as low as 3%, all the way up to 20% typically. But of course, there are people you can put down 100% if you want, right, or 50%. But you have your down payment, usually whatever that would be, some of the title costs and some of the costs from the lender that we call your prepaids and your closing costs. In terms of some of your title costs, you would maybe pay for part of the closing fee. There would be a lender's policy for title insurance. You would also pay for your homeowner's insurance up front, and then you would have like an appraisal fee, an underwriting fee from the lender. Sometimes it'd be like a processing fee. So what I typically tell my clients, generally speaking, you have your down payment, and then I would probably budget another $4,000 or $5,000 for the cost above and beyond that. That will kind of get you a lot of the title costs, the lender costs that they have, and paying for homeowners insurance. One thing to think about if you do close on a property and you are getting a loan, let's say that you were to close, I'll just give this hypothetical example, you were to close at the end of, or you would close on September 25th, or September 12th, or really anywhere that month of September, your first payment would not start until November 1st. So it feels like you skip a month. You don't really do that. You pay the prepaid interest up front, but your first payment won't start until the following month. So it feels like you skip a month. On the seller side, here in Indiana, we are one of 4 states that actually pay property taxes 1 year behind. So when we pay taxes twice a year in Indiana, we pay them in May and we pay them in November. And so in May of 2025, here a few months ago, we paid for the first 6 months of 2024 taxes. And then this November, when we pay the next installment of taxes, that'll be for the second half of 2024. So on 99.9% of residential real estate transactions, one of the costs that a seller has is that they do prorate the property taxes, which is usually about a year's worth of taxes. Depending on when the credit falls, it could be more like 11 months, it could be like 16 or 17 months, but you basically credit the previous year's taxes to bring it up to the current day when you close. You also have some owner's policy title fees as well too. You'll have some if you're in an HOA, a lot of times you'll have a goodbye letter that is basically kind of an HOA transfer fee, and then you'll have the broker compensation as well too. On the buyer side, a lot of you probably know about a year ago the law did change where the buyer is ultimately responsible for the buyer broker commission. But what we have seen, and I've seen in every single deal that I've done since that rule went through, that the buyer asks the seller to pay that. The seller does not have to do that, but every seller that I've worked with, or I've had buyers when we work with the seller, they have paid for all of the buyer broker fee or the large majority. Just to be clear, the buyer is responsible for that fee, but they can ask the seller to pay that. The buyer can also ask the seller to pay some of their closing costs. They can actually ask for a lot of loans for the seller to pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost and origination fees and things like that. So if that's a $400,000 sale, for instance, a buyer could ask a seller to pay for up to $12,000 of their financing costs and buying their rate down and things like that. Plus also ask them to pay for the buyer broker compensation on that. So knowing these things and being educated on that can really start to help you as a buyer or a seller learn how to know the money you need to save, also what things you can ask for in a deal, and to just give you confidence to be able to move forward. If you want more detailed information on this, I encourage you to hit the like button, comment down below, and myself or one of my team members will get back in touch with you. And our goal is just to give you a clear picture so that you know what to expect when you're out there looking at, looking at homes, whether it's resale homes, whether it's new construction homes. We can help people in any of those facets. So we hope you found this information useful and helpful. And if you know somebody else that could benefit from this, please share this video with them. And as always, we're never too busy for your referrals.
Hey, it's Andy Liechty, and listen, if you don't follow this channel, there's a good chance you'll never see me again. I consistently put out helpful content for those that are currently in the real estate market. This information can be extremely helpful for your buying and selling needs, so be sure you like and subscribe here. And most importantly, leave a comment to let us know if this video was helpful for you. We are here to help the Central Indiana community, and we always love your thoughts and questions. Follow now, and we'll see you on our next helpful video.